In this segment, I want to complete my discussion of Achilles' rejection of the very handsome offer that is made by Agamemnon and relayed through Odysseus. And Achilles does it not just by rejecting the gifts, but by rejecting, I argue, the whole basis of Homeric society. Now, Achilles has just said that, listen, it's one thing to give me tripods and horses, and he goes, but, really death comes to us all in the end. And why should I care about those things on top of or as more important than preserving and extending my own life? Isn't me hanging on to life? Let's remember, for the Greeks, there wasn't a whole lot to look forward to in the afterlife. Hades is a kind of dank and dark and relatively uneventful and certainly unappealing place. So this life is the only life we have, and Achilles' point is, why not have as much of it as possible? And then Achilles says this, my mother Thetis, a moving silver grace, tells me 2 fates sweep me on to my death. If I stay here and fight, I'll never return home, but my glory will be undying forever. If I return home to my dear fatherland, my glory is lost, but my life will be long, and death that ends all will not catch me soon. Now, this is a truly breathtaking passage on multiple levels. You can see just from the text itself, it's referring to the idea of fate. So fate is the allotment that we all have in life. In Christianity, we think of fate as providence. God decrees that you, Dinesh, will have this allotment of life. And but for the ancient Greeks, there was fate as well. And this fate, it's a little unclear. Is the fate decreed by the gods? It seems not, because it seems like what the gods can do is to some degree manipulate the events that lead to fate, but they can't change fate itself. But here, Achilles is saying that in the context of fate, that his mother told him that he has 2 alternative fates. Wow. Now, this is unheard of. First of all, it is relatively unheard of in classical literature to even have a fate that is known. So typically, there is fate, and the fate is only known in retrospect. The guy was killed, he fell to the earth lifeless, he met his fate. How do we know when his fate was? Well, that's because he's lying dead right now. So we know in looking backward that this was obviously his time to die, because here he's lying dead. Now, there are rare cases, the most famous of which is Oedipus, of someone being told their fate, but typically being told their fate in a kind of sphinx-like or mystical way, and that is, you have a fate, you are going to kill your father and sleep with your mother. And of course, it is Oedipus's effort to avoid that fate that drives the tragic plot of Sophocles' Oedipus Rex. That's a rare case where Oedipus is told what his future is going to be. Normally, you're not told. Normally, you and I, in listening to the Iliad, we know the outcome of the Trojan War, but Hector doesn't know, Andromache doesn't know. So the people in the narrative don't know. But Achilles is saying, not only that he does know, his mom told him that you have a fate, but she told him you have 2 fates. And she's implying that he can choose. So not only are there alternative fates, that's kind of unheard of, but number 2, Achilles is being kind of given a choice. You can stay and you can fight. And if you fight, you will win everlasting glory. People will be talking about you. Even in the United States, when Dinesh D'Souza does his podcast, he's going to be talking about you, Achilles. So your glory will live on, but you will have a short life and you will be killed really very shortly after the events described in the Iliad. You will be, so you can have a short life and glorious, or you can quit, take your troops, go home. You will have a long life, uneventful, and nobody will have heard of you, Achilles who, but you will have had a much longer and, in a way, satisfying life. Death will not come to you soon. So Achilles is saying to Odysseus, I am in the remarkable position of having these 2 fates, and he makes it clear which one he's leaning to. Achilles is leaning to taking the second fate, not staying and fighting, but going home. He goes, what is the case for telling me, this is all implied, not said, that I'm better off going and fighting, what, for Helen? What, for Greece? What, for people talking about me later? Who cares? Why don't I go back? I'm a king. I have a kingdom. I'm going to be able to marry. I'm going to be able to have children. I'm going to be able to have a long life. And it doesn't matter to me if people don't know who Achilles is, because I will have had more out of life than I'm being offered here by this illusory and in some sense worthless Time and Kleos.